In 1991, construction crews broke ground on a massive 5-mile expansion of Arizona State Route 87. This stretch cut right through remote, open-range territory. When you push multi-million-dollar infrastructure into the wilderness, you immediately collide with the local reality on the ground. Out here, that reality was free-roaming range cattle. The new highway alignment crossed right over Deer Creek, where a local rancher had an established routine. Every year, he used the dry creek bed under the existing bridge to funnel his herd safely under the asphalt and up into their summer pastures. But to build the expansion, the contractor had to excavate that creek bed and install heavy stone bank protection for a new bridge. In doing so, they completely wiped out the rancher's only functional cow trail. The rancher complained to the Arizona Department of Transportation, claiming the state had previously promised him a passage. The state's resident engineer immediately dismissed him. According to the agency, that trail never made it into the final project agreement, meaning it wasn't their problem. When a government agency refuses to manage this kind of friction, they create an operational vacuum on the job site. The state steps back behind its paperwork, and the private contractor is suddenly left standing directly in the crosshairs of an angry neighbor. This dynamic is driven by a concept called risk allocation. Government contracts are intentionally designed to shield the public agency from localized disputes. They push the financial liability down the chain, leaving the contractor to absorb the real-world blowback. Facing an irate rancher, the contractor had two bad options. The first was to halt work and wait for the agency to issue an official change order. Waiting triggers an immediate financial penalty. Every day the site sits idle, the contractor burns thousands of dollars in unused machinery and labor. A private firm operates on strict margins. They cannot afford to bleed cash while bureaucrats debate jurisdiction. The second option is to ignore the rancher entirely, stick to the contract, and plow ahead with construction. But that invites immediate physical risks to the site, ranging from local sabotage to uncontained livestock. Range cows are remarkably clever. When fences come down to build temporary construction gates, those cattle inevitably find their way into the work zone to graze on shoulder grass, putting themselves and live highway traffic in serious danger. Contractors are trapped between the crushing cost of a bureaucratic delay and the physical hazards of local hostility. To survive, they frequently have to abandon the strict wording of their contracts and figure it out themselves. The crew on Route 87 realized that eating the cost of a good neighbor policy was far cheaper and safer than waiting on the state. They decided to engineer their own fix. Out of their own pocket, the contractor brought in equipment to cut a temporary bypass trail right into the dirt, routing the herd safely around the newly installed bank protection. Take a look at this photograph from the actual job site. If you look past this tiered stone retaining wall, you can see the bizarre compromise they reached. That is the local herd, successfully navigating right through an active heavy construction zone. Absorbing this minor expense and a slight schedule delay was completely unfair to the contractor. It was also the only pragmatic way to keep a multi-million-dollar project moving forward without spiraling into chaos. The dirt bypass worked. The cows reached their summer pasture, the rancher went home happy, and the crew finished the bridge without any further interference. But this dynamic extends far beyond rural Arizona. Look at this massive urban highway project. Whether a contractor is dodging cattle in the desert or negotiating with furious business owners in a dense city center, this same tension happens on nearly every major public works site in the country. Government master plans exist in a state of theoretical perfection on paper. The act of actually digging into the dirt is inherently chaotic and unpredictable. Moving earth and pouring concrete is only half the job. A heavy civil contractor really operates as a buffer, absorbing the friction between rigid agency mandates and the living, breathing communities they build in. Successful infrastructure requires diplomacy. The builders on the ground constantly have to take an unfair hit, pay out of pocket, and build a bypass where one wasn't planned, because the system is purposely designed to leave them holding the bag.